Dr Amir Khan joins us live from Leeds, which is currently in Tier 3. Consumer expert Harry Wallop is in North London and living under the toughest restrictions. That is, of course, Tier 4. And celebrity cook and author Rusty Lee, with the greatest energy in the world, joins us from Tier 2 in West Sussex.
Good morning to all of you. It's lovely to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. We've got lots of questions coming in, so we will move straight on to them. Dr Amir, let's start with you first, because Becky sent us one on Twitter and says, I'm in Tier 4. If I paid for a private COVID test for me and my brother and sister-in-law, could we then spend Christmas together?
Hi, Becky. It's so hard because these new instructions for Christmas have come in so late and people had plans already and are desperate to stick to them. Unfortunately, the instructions for Tier 4 are really clear. You must not mix households, even on Christmas Day. With regards to private tests, we just don't know how accurate they are. Lots of tests were offered to the government and the NHS and failed stringent guidelines, so are not officially being used, but are still available for use privately. This may mean they don't give accurate results. Becky, my advice would be stay at home. I know it's hard. Find other ways to contact your family. Digital platforms are really helpful. It's really, really hard. I know that. I acknowledge that. But that is the safest thing to do. Thanks,
Amir. Harry, our consumer expert this morning. Could you help with this question from Michelle in Surrey? It says, my family can't come round now as I'm in Tier 4. Can I cancel my turkey or get a refund on my shopping? I mean, think about that. You think, oh, well, it's only turkey shopping. But people have spent a some of money, haven't they? Some people go into hundreds of pounds, or at least more money than you would usually spend. What is the situation there in terms of refunds, Harry?
Well, yeah, absolutely. A lot of people are in this situation, and turkeys are not cheap. The basic rule of thumb is you cannot return perishable goods, any fresh or frozen items, to the supermarket. Now, if you actually bought or placed your order online and the online delivery hasn't arrived yet, nearly all supermarkets give you the right to cancel that online order up until really quite late the night before, usually about 11 p.m. So that's if you're buying online. If you've bought it in the store, you've already got your turkey sitting in the fridge, then I'm afraid to say that's not possible. But actually, a lot of the supermarkets do say for non-perishable items, I don't know, something like a Christmas pudding or some stuffing or whatever it might be, give them a call. They will try and be reasonable, and they will try, at least a lot of the supermarkets are saying, they will try and take some stuff back. Obviously, one of the options is your local food bank or any of these sorts of food sharing apps out there. A lot of people short of turkeys. If you've got one, don't need it, then actually you could be doing a lot of favours by giving it away rather than returning it.
Or you could also freeze it, I suppose. If you get it straight away, put it in the freezer straight away, or cook it and freeze it.
Rusty, the cookery expert, let's come to you on this one, because on the subject of excess food, we've got a question here for you. Good morning. There will be so much food waste, and we've got one viewer asking here, what can you do about it? Freezing is one option, but different recipes, what's your answer?
Well, I think obviously you've got to fall in love with your freezer all of a sudden. Don't throw your food away, whatever you do. Make up pies, make up whatever you can do, soups, and freeze them. If you've got lots of potatoes and things like that, parboil them and slice them and put them on a tray and freeze them separately. Bag them up in different portions. Don't go and freeze everything in a big lump so that when you take it out, you've got a problem. Do it in portions, and just definitely try and do portions, and don't feel, we're all sad. We're all in a horrible situation. Just think of it as if we're in a war and we're lucky to be, alive. And so we're going to do our best. Let's take our part, get the British spirit and the Jamaican spirit, and freeze your food, put them away, and let's plan for another time.
Dr Amir, another viewer asks, can my mother, who lives in Scotland, visit me in Tier 2 England for Christmas?
Oh, I'm going to feel like the Grinch here yet again. Scotland is very clear. You must not cross the border into England unless it's absolutely essential. Nicola Sturgeon has put a travel ban in place. So the short answer really is no, she shouldn't be crossing the border from Scotland into even a tier 2 area. Scotland are being very, very strict about this. And again, if there's another way she can connect with you, that is the safest and the right thing to do.
Harry, I've got one for you here. It's one that a lot of people are asking this morning. Will there still be food on the shelves if I go shopping tomorrow? And should I be worried about panic buying?
You should not be worried about panic buying. You really shouldn't. And I know we said this all the way back in March, but just putting one extra bag of pasta or loo roll that you think, well, just in case, causes all sorts of disruption to the supply chain. Now, the good news is the supermarkets, this is their busiest week anyway. People buy far more, about £50 more per household in the week running up to Christmas. So they are already geared up for huge amounts of stock. If people have seen the pictures of the lorries stuck on the M20, not being allowed to go back to France or come in from France, then obviously they will be worried. But that will affect things, if it does affect things, later this week, not for Christmas.
Okay.
Nearly all the food we have for Christmas is already in the country. The issue is things like citrus fruits, a lot of vegetables that are grown in Spain, or indeed they're grown in South America, but they're packed in the Netherlands and then they come through Dover. So that's the real issue. There might be just a small amount of shortages later this week, but not before Christmas.
OK. Dr Amir, Jacqueline from Lincolnshire asked, now this is really interesting. I think a lot of people were doing this very early on in the pandemic. I don't know how many people are still doing it. How long does the virus linger on our shopping and parcels? Should we still be wiping down everything we get from the supermarkets, Amir?
It's a really common question. The NHS and the World Health Organization both state that catching coronavirus from packages or letters, the risk is minimal, almost nothing, and there's been no documented cases of that. Packages tend to go through different temperatures, different environments before they arrive at our doorsteps, and it's unlikely that the coronavirus can last on anything like that. There have been studies, and these are particularly, it's important to know that these are lab studies to show that the virus can last on innate surfaces for up to 9 days, but that's in laboratory conditions, not in life conditions. The safest thing to do is to wash your hands before and after handling packages, and that's enough. You don't necessarily need to wipe them down. Just washing your hands, good hand hygiene is really important.
Rusty, here's another one for you. Any tips for Paul in Worcestershire who asks, I won't be able to see my daughter who's stuck in tier 4. What can I do to make myself feel better? What are your suggestions?
Oh, Paul, honestly, I really feel it for you. And I know how it feels because my son's up in the, anyway, he's up there somewhere.
Do you know where he is, Rusty? What do you mean he's just up there somewhere? He's probably watching and my mum doesn't even know where I am.
It's come to me, Paul.
She's up there somewhere in the internet, somewhere on the Facebook.
Exactly. So this is what I suggest to you, Paul. Be a nuisance to your daughter. Ring her all the time. Keep in touch. Prepare your food and keep talking. If imagine that they were at home with you and keep ringing and say, what are you doing? Let's watch a film together. Let's choose a film, because if you were at home, we'd probably be watching a nice, funny film together. So get a good film and then discuss it, watch it, and at the end of it, phone or FaceTime each other or whatever way you can contact each other and just chat and say, what did you think of that part? What did you think of it? Have a chat. Just keep talking.
Amir, if Rusty's in tier 2, Amir, I think she can see friends on Christmas Day, can't she? If she wants to.
Yes, on Christmas Day itself. Better done outside, but yes, just keep contact to a minimum. But yes, officially she is allowed to see friends on Christmas Day.
Yeah. Diane in Cardiff asks, Amir, what do you recommend for people who are concerned about their mental health? This is a big thing for so many people, and it can feel worse at this time of year for most people anyway. But with the virus and everything else going on, it'll be doubly worse.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I have noticed certainly an increased number of calls and visits to my surgery with people concerned about their mental health. OK, so the things that you can do is acknowledge your feelings. It is absolutely normal to feel down low about how things are at the moment and talk to someone about it. It could be a family member, a friend, or perhaps even a healthcare professional. Plan a routine every day. Try and have a routine, even if you're at home where you otherwise might be at work. Have a routine. Wake up at the same time. Do certain things that you look forward to. Try and get outside. I'm a big advocate for nature, for well-being, and we know there's lots of evidence that spending time outdoors in green spaces is really beneficial to your mental health. And if you don't have any green spaces around, just going outdoors, looking up at the sky, looking at trees, it has been shown to be really beneficial to your mental health as well. And the exercise that you get when you're outside is also really good for your mental health. If your mental health is really deteriorating and it's stopping you from doing the things you would normally do, pick up the phone, speak to your GP. The Samaritans are always available. Ring NHS 111 if it's out of hours. It's really important to get the help you need if your mental health is really poor.
And also, Amir, for some of us, for friends we've not spoken to for a while, if we know that somebody's going to be on their own, it's up to us as well, isn't it? Get in touch with them, drop them a little text message. You don't have to be too intrusive sometimes. Just a little voice note or a message or something is a quite nice thing to do.
It's such a lovely thing to do, and they'll be so grateful that that person you haven't spoken to for a while, a neighbour on the street who you think might be alone, just drop them a note, ask them if they need anything. They are so grateful. The village that I live in are doing that for our neighbours who live alone, and it makes such a difference.
Oh, I wish I was living in your village. That'd be great. I'm self-isolating for the next 10 days. You'd be coming around with biryani. That'd be great.
You haven't tasted my biryani, Adil. You don't want it, trust me.
Dr. Amir, I've got another one here because people are getting in touch with specific situations, which obviously, we'll get through as many of them as we can. But there's one here from Isabella, who's got in touch on Twitter saying, my husband is a train driver that lives in Tier 3, Birmingham, but drives trains to London Tier 4. Should he self-isolate? What's your advice?
This is a real grey area, and the advice is still coming out about people who are working in London in this regard. What I would suggest is if you're going from Tier 3 to Tier 4, particularly as a train driver, if you can avoid any contact with people while you're in London, try and isolate yourself, whether that might be within the train or if you have to go out, just minimise contact and space between people. We still don't know technically if train drivers themselves have to isolate when they come back. The advice is people who work in Tier 4 areas and come back to Tier 3 do have to isolate. However, train drivers are slightly different because they're transient. They come in and out of these areas. So I'm really sorry, I can't give you very clear advice yet, but we're waiting for that from the government. But my advice really would be just to try and minimise contact in Tier 4 whilst you're there.
Yeah.
OK.
Thanks very much, Amir. Final question, Rusty. This is an important one, and this is coming to you. How do we keep everyone's spirits up this Christmas, Rusty Lee?
Well, the last bit is the spirits. Let's keep the spirits up. Look, get as many funny films as you can. Just lay them out and absolutely pull everybody together and laugh. Try and laugh at everything. Get them. Don't look at sad films to cry. We're feeling sorry for yourself. Remember that you're loved, you're special. Just treat yourself. Dress up and make yourself look nice. If you're on your own, make a lovely meal. Don't say, the minute you go, you feel down. Bring yourself up. Look outside the window. Think at least the birds are there. We've got beauty. Bring people up. And make sure you ring at least 5 people. Make that a thing. Bring 5 people and cheer them up. And if you're really down, give me a little call on Facebook or something like that. I promise I'll answer you.
I thought you were about to give you a mobile phone number out there, Rusty. That was very generous of you. It cause a rush on Christmas Day.
Give me a ring. I'll talk to you. No problem, and give you a laugh.